This last lesson is going to take care of the entire waning phase of the moon. You should wrap up your current waxing moon goals before the full moon. And then when you're ready to start your waning moon magic, begin as close to the full moon as you can. Choose one item from your journal of the list of things that you want to eliminate. Many people perform magic without any order or organization. They just jump right into spells without any clear plans or goals. And it's a good idea to avoid this by organizing your thoughts and your goals before actually working your magic. When you're ready to start the waning moon magic, make sure that you have a list of 7 items that you wish to eliminate. When the waning moon starts, you're going to begin your spell work for 7 consecutive days, and that's why I want you to have 7 items. Please choose the most important item first from your elimination list and write it on a clean sheet of paper. This is also described in your homework. Then write a statement such as, "The reason I blank is," and modify this depending on what you're trying to eliminate. For example, if it's medical bills, write, "The reason I have these medical bills is," and complete the sentence over and over again with whatever comes to mind without editing, using stream of consciousness until you either reach the bottom of the page or you're repeating the same answers again and again. You'll end up with a list of reasons. For example, the reason I have these medical bills is because I'm unhealthy, because I don't have enough insurance, because I'm not good enough, because I'm stupid. Even those last couple of answers, which didn't seem real logical, write them down anyway. Don't edit. Once you fill up the page, take another clean sheet, and for each negative statement, write a positive statement that opposes it. This is similar to those waning moon flips in the Beyond the Basics course. If a thought is, "I'm bad with money," change it to, "I'm good with money." For something like, "My mother was a bad mother," you might say, "I forgive my mother, she did her best." List each positive statement on a new sheet of paper that negates the original statement. So if you had 15 negative thoughts, make sure that you have 15 positive ones on the new sheet of paper. Now, if you have more positive thoughts that come to mind for a single negative one, write them all down. It's okay to have more positive statements on that sheet of paper than you had negative statements, but not less. If the negative thought was, "I don't have enough education," you might write, "I have the perfect amount of education to achieve my goals," or something like that. Ensure that your positive statement isn't only just flipping, but fully addresses what you're trying to achieve. This process might take up to 30 minutes or so, but commit to doing it for 7 straight days. Once you've transformed all of your thoughts, destroy your original list of negative statements, tear it up or burn it, and then read each positive statement out loud and file the new list in your prosperity journal for future use. So you'll do this process once a day. Each day will be for the next item on the list of things that you want to eliminate. You're prioritizing an item from your list of the things you want to eliminate from the most to the least important. You'll tackle the most important ones on the first days of the week. And then by the time you get to 6 and 7, those might not have as much emotional impact for you. Before starting this process, always light your prosperity candle and do your orb of light meditation to create the sacred space for your prosperity magic. You can use a recording for your orb of light, or you can just perform it independently from memory. Use your prosperity candle for the waning moon magic as well as the waxing moon magic when dealing with money. Repeat the process for 7 days, remember, using a new item from your list each day. After 7 days, use the rest of the waning moon cycle to work through these positive statements daily with your candle, saying them out loud, starting to think in terms of what these positive thoughts are all on their own. And if those beget new positive thoughts, write those down as well. If you want to turn them into rhyming incantations, you can, but you can also just keep them as positive thoughts on this piece of paper that you can read out loud and consider in the presence of your prosperity candle. And so you want to spend time with this new energy and in your mind completely disconnect it from the idea of what you were trying to eliminate in the first place. That's the fastest way to eliminate something, is to just get into its positive and just let it dissolve. And it's a good idea to have that prosperity symbol before you and that candle burning while you're working like this, just because it really keys those images into your deep mind that are connecting more and more fully with the idea of prosperity. Now, the items on your elimination list don't all have to be tangible items. For example, you might realize that you have a pattern of thinking that you need to suffer in order to get what you want. So you can decide to eliminate that belief. Then reflect on why you feel this way, writing all the reasons down, such as I'm not good enough, life is hard, I'm not pretty enough, I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm a bad person. Write whatever comes to mind, even if it doesn't seem accurate or if it seems strange to you. Just choose an item from your list once per day for 7 straight days and flip it, each of those ideas about that item that you come up with, into a positive statement. And then embrace those positive statements and forget about the thing that you're trying to eliminate. Just let it go. Continue your morning and evening meditations, which only take a few minutes. Even if you're not using a recording, just take a minute of your intent time to do these meditations. Before any spell work, perform your prosperity orb of light. Think of the prosperity orb of light as the circle casting before you do your magic for this course. You can start taking much more control over the manifestations that you want in your life as a result of all of this work you're doing. By making it a habit to ensure certain things happen every day, either through your efforts or by delegating, such as your manifestation list, you become more in command of what occurs in your life. And this practice can be expanded to almost everything that you want. Keep working with your prosperity journal regularly and engage with your goals a little bit every day, at least through this course, because just calling your goals to mind over the course of a few weeks really helps to get them catalyzed so that they start to happen. But then comes a point when it's a good idea to just forget about them all and let the work that you've done manifest. So there's a balance that you're trying to achieve. During the 3 weeks of this course, it is a boot camp, so there's a lot that is in your conscious mind. But once you're done with this whole lunar phase of intensive magic that you're doing, let it go and let things just start to occur for you. Your manifestation list is something that you want to work on during any part of the lunar cycle, including the dark moon eclipses, any of that, because it's more about focusing your mind to the fact that you have the power to make anything happen that you want. And that's something that takes some practice, doing it daily before you realize that you do have that amount of power. You can make anything happen, anything that you want, either by your own efforts, by delegating it, or just by intending it. I have a whole section in my journal for blessings. And I like to add my blessings daily, even if they're repetitive. I just like to add what my gratitude and my blessings are, and just to spend a little time thinking about that. Now, if it becomes a drudge, that's not the point. It should feel good to write down your blessings. What did happen today? What good things happened today? It's a good idea to write them down, because if you write it down, it becomes real in your mind. And the more you can keep track of what the blessings were and the things that you can be grateful for and how well things worked out for you, you're not going to be snowed by your ego so much when it tries to tell you how bad everything is, because you can say, but look at all of this. Remember that your mind is going to, over time, gather evidence to support your beliefs. And so if your belief is that nothing ever good happens for you, you'll have that evidence always reinforced for you. But if you start to write your gratitudes and your blessings in your journal, that's the kind of evidence then that your deep mind is going to gather. And this aligns with the Hermetic principles of cause and effect and correspondence. Think of as above, so below. As the conscious mind, so the deep mind. So you focus on what you want, and your deep mind starts to focus on what you want. You focus on your problems, your deep mind starts to focus on your problems. If you tell your deep mind this is an unsolvable problem, the deep mind will say, oh, it's an unsolvable problem, and it'll keep showing you how it's unsolvable. But if you see any problem as an assignment, then your deep mind says, oh, I'm assigned to solve this problem, and it will solve the problem for you. You have to have control over your conscious mind and what you allow your conscious mind to indulge in. do your best when you notice that your mind starts to wander off on worst case scenarios or how bad everything is, etc. Snap out of it and focus on what you do want to be, what you do want to do, and what you do want to have. This is a spiritually uplifting practice, and it contributes to your success just to do that. You can't grow spiritually without fulfilling your desires. A lot of people think that those are two different things. I can either be spiritual or I can fulfill my desires. In magic, we say you have to have both. Then they work together. Your desires are meant to be fulfilled. And that's not being selfish or unspiritual. It's about fulfilling your destiny. And if you think otherwise, it's time for you to start reconsidering. Once you realize that what you think is what starts to expand in your experience, then you recognize that your freedom to think the thoughts that you want to think is your most precious commodity, because it's through those thoughts that you're able to manifest. And so you can either manifest based on what you desire, or you can manifest based on what you've been trained by this world to manifest through fear, worry, etc. In this waning phase, continue to work with the power of 10 and the concept of giving. This period is especially effective for building prosperous energy and dispelling negative thoughts. As you go about your day, think about the number 10. If you receive a bill, imagining receiving 10 times the amount in return as income. If your bank account shows $100, visualize $1,000 coming your way. This is a mind training. To consistently multiply by 10 in your favor, you are inviting more into your life. And over time, it starts to take on momentum, but you got to get it started. Even long before you start seeing the results, if you keep that momentum going, you're going to be glad you did. It's just like going to the gym. Results take time, but if you practice, you always see the changes. With consistency, you'll notice increased abundance. During the waning moon, focus on generating prosperous energy to break up negative thought patterns. Giving is a powerful strategy to do that, especially for those with debts. Even when it feels unaffordable, it signals to your mind that you are prosperous. It spiritualizes your money. Consider what you can give financially. You never give beyond your means, but you can always give something. Now, if you can't give money, you can give time. That's valuable. But you get what you give. So do you want more time? And if you want time, then you should be volunteering time. But if you want money, you should be giving money. And expect a tenfold return no matter what you're giving. If you're giving time in order for more time, declare, I'm gaining more time to do what I want. When you give away money, expect a tenfold return in your money. And remember that the male principle is symbolized by the number 1 or the wand, and the female principle is symbolized by the number 0 or the cup. Together they form the number 10, representing fertility, harmony, growth, and increase. Like the sun, the god can fertilize many manifestations of the goddess. You can keep adding zeros, but for now, just focus on 1. Just focus on 10. If debts and bills weigh you down, your instinct might be to hold onto every dollar. However, this is when you might really consider giving some money away. Again, not something that you can't afford, but something. Now, you may think, well, I can't afford anything. You can afford something. You can afford $1. You can afford 50 cents. You can afford something just to get the flow moving. Reflect on your relationship with spirit, whether you call it goddess, God, God and goddess, great spirit. It's beyond labels. Just sit and meditate and ask. Ask that force, where should my tithe or giveaway go? I also give to charity, which is giving to people in need, but that's after my first 10th. That's how I do it. So I give a lot. I give a lot of time and money, and I give first to wherever I feel like I'm receiving my spiritual nourishment. That's my first 10th. And then after that, I donate to charities and places that need my money that I support. I also volunteer time, both to spirit and to charities. My giving choices can change daily. If I receive $1,500, I might give away the $150 immediately. Always I ask first, where should this go? And sometimes I give it right away, and sometimes I'm being told just hang on to it for a couple days, and then I just always do what I'm told. Because I feel so spiritually connected to the process of giving, I recognize that when I ask, where does this go? I can follow my heart, and I know that I never make a mistake. Really about connecting to my spiritual source. I'm giving back to my spiritual source, but the form, the channel of that spiritual source can change each day. Sometimes I give to the same place for years and years. I don't change, but if I'm being called to change, I'll change. You're really only giving to spirit. You're not giving to those people or those places. I mean, I'm sure they appreciate your money, but that's the point secondarily. The first point is that you want to outflow. You want to give to spirit so that you can be in the position to receive more. And then you have more to give, and then you receive more, and then you have more to give, and it just increases. It's a beautiful thing. Somebody said to me, if you claim your tenfold return, it's like a string is attached, but it's not. I don't see it that way at all. When I give my gift and I claim my tenfold return, for one thing, I don't only limit it to tenfold. I receive my tenfold return and then some. But that 10 is a real easy way to do math. So you think I'm giving 50 and I'm getting at least $500 in return. Some people say that's putting a string on it, but it's not. It's just you acknowledging that you're connected to your source. You're connected to abundance. And this is how it works. You give and you receive. And giving and receiving are the same thing. But in this world of linear time, giving always precedes receiving. In the infinite, it happens simultaneously. But in this world, you have to give in order to receive. Just like you have to ask for help in order to receive help. You don't just expect God to fix it for you. You have to ask. You have to make the first move. To create a prosperous life, you need to make space for your prosperity. We do this by creating a vacuum. And this is a great thing to do during the waning moon, especially. You can do a little bit each day, or you can dedicate a whole day to it. But the goal is to clean out all your clutter. Go through your car, go through your office, go through your closets. And don't worry if you finish everything. That's fine. Just do your best to do as much as you can over the next couple weeks. Declutter because clutter reflects a cluttered mind. It represents stagnant energy, stuck energy that you need to break up. Stop hoarding. You don't have to get rid of everything, but organize everything into piles. And if you're not ready to give something up, don't. There's nothing worse, and I've done this more times than I can count, and I've stopped doing this, where I'll be just really in the flow of decluttering, and I'll just make a snap choice. Nope, throw it away. Nope, keep it. Nope, give it away. I used to only do 2 piles. Now I have 3, just because there's so many times I've said, no, get rid of it, because I haven't used it in a while. And then 3 days later, I really needed that thing, and I had to go buy a new one because I was just being so impulsive about how I was decluttering. So you don't want to do that. So have 3 piles, one for the things that you definitely are done with, so that they need to find a new home, and a pile for the things that maybe you're ready to get rid of, and a pile for the things you're definitely keeping. And you don't have to make the choice on any pile except for the one that you're definitely getting rid of. So get rid of everything that you don't really want to keep and organize the rest of it. You can get rid of old tokens and trinkets. Like when you go to pagan rituals and they give you a token and you save it because it was so sweet, but years of that, you don't need to keep that stuff. It's history. It's an old Sabbath. The blessings are in you and not in the trinket, unless they really serve a great sentimental purpose and function for you. You don't need to keep souvenirs from decades ago and greeting cards and things like that, unless they really hold significant value. But if they do, then do something with them. Like put them in a frame or something. Don't just hoard them as stuck energy somewhere. Do something with them. You can get rid of all unnecessary items, especially like tax returns that are more than 3 or 4 years old. You don't need to keep those. Shred them. Old food in your refrigerator that's in a piece of tinfoil. Get rid of it. Declutter your life from all the unnecessary stuff And if you need help, get a friend and you guys can return the favor maybe. I'll help you declutter your life if you help declutter mine, or pay someone. I've done that before. Go to your storage unit if you have a storage unit and make sure that you need all that stuff. Avoid spending money beyond your comfort level, but if you can afford it, now would be a good time to visit stores like the Container Store or Target or Staples or something where you can find some organizational tools and go through your belongings and just get everything in order. A place for everything and everything in its place. Creating a vacuum is what you're doing. And magic needs space to manifest. And when you've created a vacuum like this, your magical current will thrive. And you won't believe how quickly things can manifest for you. When you have things in order and things are clear, it's amazing what you can achieve. If you are a pack rat by nature, you may consider little bits of change in your personality over time. You don't have to change everything all at once, but you do want to start considering if you're having prosperity problems, decluttering is going to help that. Hoarding is a path to poverty. You don't need to get rid of everything. Just start with the top layer, the stuff that you know you don't need. And this comes right into the next thing we're eliminating this waning moon, and that's your debts. You want to eliminate your debts, all of them this month, regardless of how big you feel the debts are. Take some time to review your debts. It may seem overwhelming, but you can do it. It should only take about an hour, even if you have a ton of debt. And if you're very disorganized, then you have to first declutter before you're tackling the debts. So get some folders, maybe a file cabinet if you don't have one, to organize all your papers. And I like to do it in the analog rather than the digital world when I'm doing this, because it's more tactile and it seems to get a quicker response. So if you are completely paperless, I would recommend that you print out things just for this exercise and get them filed. But you definitely want a list of all your debts, at least, if nothing else. A list of all your debts, who you owe, how much you owe. Write it all down clearly. If you feel guilty, if you feel scared, if you feel upset, take a break, take some breaths, and then just keep coming back. You're not going to die from this. You're actually going to get debt-free from this. All of that fear, all of that anxiety is holding those things in place. So we're going to get rid of it for you. Isn't that exciting? Once you've listed all your debts, find a special place near your prosperity candle to keep this list. Put a paper on top of it with your prosperity symbol. And on this paper, write, all my obligations are promptly paid. With love, joy, and gratitude, to rest they now are laid. And keep that paper with the prosperity symbol on top of your debt list and chant it aloud while focusing on the symbol with your prosperity candle burning at least once a day for the rest of the waning moon cycle. Now, you might feel guilty because of your debts, but remember that it's the guilt itself that leads to debt. So to tackle this, list everything that makes you feel guilty. Do that process we've been doing on the waning moon flip exercise earlier. Do it on guilt. And just list everything that you feel guilty about, whether it makes sense or not. And then list everything that you resent in other people. Try to be as thorough as possible. When you've got the list of people you resent, even if you don't think you resent people, make it up. Well, who would I resent if I did resent? That would be a good one. And then just say, all that has offended, I forgive and let it go. Only peace can last. All that has offended, now we're in the past. I forgive and let it go. Only peace can last. Do this regularly until the waning moon ends, along with other waning moon practices. Overcoming resentment and guilt is mandatory to eliminating debt, because debt is a manifestation of guilt and resentment. It's very challenging to stay in debt once you've decluttered your life and rid yourself of guilt and resentment. You have to work hard at staying in debt. The debt wants to clear itself up. And you'll find usually that debts start to just naturally clear up as you go through this process. I've also provided a meditation for you called the Magic Debt Eraser. Listen to it as frequently as you like, especially if you have significant debts. It will help to clear your mind without much effort. While you will need to pay your debts, you'll find it becomes so easy and enjoyable, and the debts will just start to fade away. And in fact, I've had some debts get forgiven. Now, I'm not telling you that's what you're supposed to go for, but if that happens and they're just forgiven, don't be surprised, because you're putting yourself in a position where debt can't thrive. Debt can't thrive in the mental condition you are now fostering. Finally, I want to discuss eliminating fear, panic, and worry about money. Start this practice again during this waning moon phase and continue it until the end of the waning moon. Whenever you notice any fear or negative thought about money, immediately counter it with some sort of incantation or affirmation. Memorize something practical, such as, all my needs are met at every time and place. I trust in spirit and its power is sublime. I'm grateful that all my financial and other needs are met now and always. If you notice you're thinking, I won't have enough money to pay that bill, counter it with, that bill is paid perfectly. I always have more money than I need. Do this as often as possible. If negative thoughts come 1,000 times in an hour, negate them 1,000 times with your statement. Worrying about money doesn't solve anything, but it does create more to worry about. You're not ignoring your responsibilities by doing this. You're actually becoming more responsible by doing this. You're affirming that all your needs are met, and you're claiming that. When you have to pay something, instead of being afraid, I can't afford this, remind yourself, every dollar I spend on its ride comes back to me multiplied. This approach tends to tell the situation how it will resolve rather than you just leaving it up to your fears and hoping for the best. We're not trying to avoid paying our bills or our obligations. We're trying to connect with universal abundance to make sure that they're paid in the highest and most enjoyable ways. Of course, you want to pay your bills. Everybody likes to pay their bills when they have money, right? If you have tons of money, you're going to pay all your bills. It's fun. It's not fun when you can't afford your bills. So aim to have plenty of money. You're not trying to be irresponsible. You're trying to be abundant. You won't be responsible if you're continually panicking and fearing money. But being stressed and worried about what's coming up next, like foreclosure or utilities being cut off, worsens things. The more you focus on those fears, the more likely they will happen. So stop it. Put on the brakes and say, nope, everything is being paid in divine order. Every financial need of mine is now instantly met. I am always well cared for. Even if it seems like you're lying to yourself, do it anyway. Because you are cared for. Just as the sun nourishes the flower or seed that grows, so are you cared for. So you're reminding yourself of this constantly. You're using these kinds of positive incantations every day as a focal point to remind yourself of something that's already true. So if you keep working on this and keep your mind focused on the truth rather than the fears about money, which are not true even though they seem true, don't let yourself fall into that fear and worry anymore. Because that tends to try to undo all this good you're doing. So you have to be vigilant. You have to face your fears and learn how to relax in the presence of them and flip them. And you can do that with a simple statement, any of these statements that we're talking about. If it feels tough, don't worry about it. Keep at it. Use the incantations, the affirmations to counter negative thoughts until you find your relief. Sometimes you won't see a flood of money right away, but you might get minor signs that more is coming. Eventually, you'll see dry land if you're at sea. At first, before you can actually see the dry land, you'll get little twigs, you'll get little branches, you'll get signs of dry land. And that's what's going to happen oftentimes with your prosperity. And you just keep doing what you're doing. And before you know it, you will find the resolutions that you deserve. If you're stressing out, remember that you're in a mindset of scarcity, which will only attract more of it. Stressing, worrying won't help. Definitely panicking doesn't help. So calm and quiet thinking is what changes results. You don't improve things by fighting them. You improve things by relaxing your body, calming your mind, and consistently countering what you believe your worries are telling you with new thoughts, new ideas. And then those thoughts cause the old problems to disappear. Don't let yourself think, I can't afford that. I'll never have that. That's too much for me. Don't do that. Write these desires down as goals. You might say, well, I'm in debt. How could I ever be able to afford a car like that? The universe doesn't think like that. If that car is something that's going to make you happy, and that's what you want, write that down as a goal. You can have that as a goal. You can change your mind later if you decide you don't want it, but don't say, I can't afford that. That car is an image in the divine mind, and I can have it just like anybody else can have it. And in order for you to have it in the most positive way possible, you can see that the universe would have to move things so that your debts are all paid so that you could afford that. In fact, it's a much more fun reason for those debts to be paid than simply just paying the debts. So don't say, I can't afford that. Don't say, I'll never be able to have that. Whatever you truly want, have it as a goal. You can change your mind later. Don't just say, I can't afford it. Figure it out. What's it going to take? And then write it down in your notebook as a goal. This shifts your mindset to, if I want it, I can have it. And I can change my mind later. But right now, it's a possible goal that I'm going to work a spell on. Address every worry that you notice this month, especially financial worries, with an affirmation or incantation. And think about what you truly want instead. Instead of saying, I want to pay off all my debts, focus on specific goals. For instance, I want a credit score of $840. I want a net worth of $350,000. This is what I want. Well, those things already take care of your debts. You can't have a net worth of $350,000 if you owe $25,000. In order to get to the net worth of zero, you've already paid off all your debts. Achieving the things that you want will take care of your worries all by themselves. If you focus solely on paying off debts or getting your bills paid or just treading water, then you're fixating on what you don't want. Instead of just getting your bills paid, instead of just paying your debts off, let's move on. What do I want? If you start thinking about what you do want, the other stuff just has to get taken care of as an order of necessity. This is a wonderful new way to start thinking about yourself and money, that you get to have all the money that you want in order to do the things that you want to do. And it's going to be easy and fun and friendly. And no longer are you going to be part of the consciousness of this world where money is so terrible and money is so challenging and so difficult. You're going to have a different relationship with money, where money is fun and easy, and you get to start having what you want. And what is going to be really interesting for you is where you've always perhaps felt like you were behind on everything. Now you're going to be one of those people that others look up to. I want to be just like them. Look at how prosperous they are. And that's really the whole point of this, is you becoming what you can be in order to help other people who are looking at you. So there's plenty to do this week, and there's plenty to do in this course. And just do the whole course once, and then take a break. And anytime you feel like you need another shot in the arm, run through those course lessons again. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoy this, and I can't wait to hear about all of your fabulous prosperity. Until next time, blessed be.